Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramon. I am so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. We believe when you approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We create this show to motivate you, inspire you, educate you, to help make an impact in your world, whether it's personal or professional, but to make that impact by doing something, by transforming people. I just had a little conversation with my guest today. I am fired up because we're going to talk real estate. And I think, and she's going to agree, the right way to sell real estate to really grow and scale your business. But I want you to think about while you're listening to her today, how you're going to serve yourself. Always got to start with yourself, number one. How you're going to serve others today. And what impact will you create today? As I always say, I talked to somebody yesterday. He said, hey, I heard your podcast, and I waited 2 weeks to serve somebody. They got started and did it, but don't wait 2 weeks. Think about how many lives you can transform in starting today, tomorrow, and the next day. So get that started. Let's get rolling. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by our incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries. Together, they're building a thought platform to impact and change the world. If you want to be part of the community or want to learn more, please reach out to me and I'll get you more information. As I said in my monologue, we're going to talk real estate, but a lot of people do real estate wrong. Okay, I said it. It's controversial, but they struggle too. I think the last stat I heard here in California, 80 to 85% of people make less than $40,000 a year selling real estate. And I believe it's 55% never sell a home. And it might even be higher ever a year. So imagine starting your business and never making a sale. I don't care if you're a plumber, you're a realtor, a business coach. That's not good. We're going to talk about how to do it with a servant's heart. I'm so excited to have Caroll on our show today. Welcome, Caroll.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Steve. It's great to meet everybody in your audience.
Thank you. And as I said before the show, real estate, I know a little bit about it. I've never been a realtor, but I want to start with this premise. How are you selling real estate with that servant's heart?
That's the only way I know to sell real estate is with a servant's heart. You and I talked a little bit leading into this, and relationships are the base for being in the real estate business. And really, to me, any people-oriented business, right? If you're going to work with the public, then I don't care if you're a politician or you're a waiter or waitress in a restaurant, you have to have a servant's heart. And in real estate, we're helping people maybe spend the most money that they've ever spent in their lives, and they're only going to do it a couple of times in their life. So we have to really have a servant's heart because they're confiding their hopes and dreams and their bank accounts in us.
Yeah. What I love about having you on the show, people might think, oh, this is a realtor talking about real estate, but this also fits with the buyer and the seller. Talk about that, looking for that servant heart characteristic when they're out searching, researching a realtor.
That's a great question. I told you as well, I'm in the process of redesigning the way that I communicate with people to build the trust of buyers and sellers. So I think it's important to insert right here that about a year ago, I did a mastery program with a guy named Bob Berg, who's written Go Giver series of books. And if you do one thing for yourself today, look up the Go Giver and see the values that what Bob teaches is built on. And that is what has transformed my life, obviously, among other things, over the last year. And it's to show people that they can know, like, and trust me. Trust is such a huge component of being a real estate agent, right? It doesn't matter if it's a buyer or a seller. Somebody has to know that I have their, for lack of a better word, their back. I am the person that they can who will help them, but it's not just selling the house, it's understanding them as a human being, as a person. What is their hope? What is their wish? What is their dream? If they're selling a home that they've lived in for 30, 40, 50 years, can you imagine? They're leaving something that's been so familiar to them. And what am I going to help them find? Let's just stay with that one person. Let's say they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and they have to downsize and they don't want steps and they really don't want a condo, but they really don't like, so I have to ask those questions in order for somebody to think about things that they may not have or even wanted to think about. Or on the other side of the spectrum, a young couple or someone who's single, but let's stay with the young couple. Their finances are brand new. They have a job. They're just merging their incomes. I'm not going to tell them that they can afford something for 2 million if they can only afford something for 600,000. Oh, here comes a baby. What are they going to do with the baby? So all of those servant heart integral components are the things that I have to ask people to share with me. And if they can't, if they don't know how to verbalize it, I have to have the sensitivity and the depth and the perception to be able to get them to do that.
How important is it for listening when you ask that question?
That's the only thing to do. They don't want to hear about me. I need to hear about them. And I have a gift. And the gift is that I am a really good listener, but I also have to know the right questions to ask in order to listen. And you know what? When you ask those right questions, it's a deluge of information. And I can take notes, I can record what people say, I can write it down. However it is, I need to understand what that person is saying. It may take 2 visits, it may take phone calls, but I am a great listener and I have a servant heart. And I know that's the name of this podcast, but it really speaks to me that that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, you nailed it. Because the real estate industry, I think, because of competition and all these different realtors, people are forcing these type of sales. And we talked about, they're going to just get rid of the realtor. The process is going, they're going to sell it, but that realtor is not going to get referrals from those people. And I think you're leaving so much money on the table. What's some of the challenges when you started your real estate career that realtors or people might want to know about that you overcome?
I started mine so long ago, and I had worked in the wine importing business for 20 years. And I had never sold a house, but I was a great salesperson. I think the one thing to say, and you and I will also discuss this, is when you come into this business, when you come into real estate, your first deals are not going to pay you unless you're really lucky. And I've known those people who have a very deep sphere of connections. But if you're coming in without that, then you're not going to make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on your first deals. You may make $5,000, you may make 10, but you have to come in it knowing that you have to have the skills in place and the organization in place to be one, you're an entrepreneur, you're a sole proprietor before you're a realtor. You have to come in with again, that's servant heart, but you've got to have a business understanding of how this works. If you work for a big company like me, there's fees to pay. Every one of our offices have different levels of how they run things. We have a lot of offices all over the world, actually. So I can't really speak to how each office is run, but you're probably going to have a split with the company that you work with, maybe not. And then you're going to have the fees that the company charges. And then you have your marketing fees. Oh, you may need an assistant. You may need a new computer. You may want to do how you run your marketing. You cannot come into this business without knowing those things.
Yeah, entrepreneur, you said something very valuable. It is a business. You have to know business. And not saying if you don't know, if you're working at Apple 8 to 5, you want to become a realtor. A lot of people started that way and are doing quite successful. But that's a great point, Caroll, because you've got to learn how to run a business. Your HR and people are HR entrepreneur. Well, you could do something wrong, do something in the paperwork wrong, and a sale fail, and you could get sued. I've seen people have it. They never lost, but people came after them because they did something wrong. That's HR as an entrepreneur, right?
Well, correct. So I have a Maryland license. I work with people with a Virginia license, and mainly I work in Maryland, but mostly DC, I should say, more DC than Maryland. And there are every law in the book that we have to work through, under, and around. We have to abide by laws. Like, I don't care if you are an airline pilot, a lawyer, a policeman, a doctor, or a realtor. We have ethics that we have to abide by. We have to re-up our licenses every 2 years in every jurisdiction. We have to take tests. But most of all, we have to abide by it. You can do anything you want on paper, but if you don't stick to what is set up for us, then you're in trouble.
I ask all my realtor friends that I work with, or realtors that I meet and mentor, what gets you up out of bed?
Oh, that's a great question. I love life. And, again, with redesigning the things that I'm doing right now, every morning I start my day with prayer, meditation, gratitude, and I do not look at my computer or a television until I do however long it takes. I work out. I really have to have that basis for that time to reset my entire being. So what really gets me out of bed is knowing that I'm going to get up and thank God first. And then the rest of the day is going to fall into place. It's not money. It's the fact that I really do love life from within myself. And that's what is my driving force.
If a realtor doesn't have a purpose, can they be successful?
I don't think anyone can be successful if you don't have a purpose. I said to you a little bit ago that if you had told me 40 years ago that I would be happier now than I've ever been in my life, and that my purpose would have more clarity and more depth, I wouldn't have understood it. So I guess the meaning of that is you have to go through things to find your purpose. And until you find your purpose, your life will not be in alignment and flow. And so if you, like, I work with the Sitar Art Center here in Washington, DC. It's an after school and summer program for mostly children of low income. Not all, but most. These kids do everything from draw to ballet, to make instruments, to writing music, to playing music. It has given me more purpose since I got involved in 2017 than maybe anything that I've ever done has in my life. So one of the things, I'm just going to kind of answer you a little bit longer, but with TTR Sotheby's, our managing partners have encouraged us to be philanthropists and to be involved with the community. And that has helped me to find my purpose, because back to servant heart, doesn't that just open your heart to help other people?
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing when you're selling a house or helping people buy a house.
Yeah.
That's full circle to your answer.
Yeah. Well, great comment is what's their purpose? Like you said, they don't want stairs. Then why are you showing them a house? Not you, but why is a realtor showing a house with stairs? Because it's more money to make more money? No.
Well, if somebody says to me, you know, Caroll, where I live, I want to be able to walk to a coffee place. I want to be able to walk to the movies. So what am I going to do? Show them a house 10 miles outside of town? I don't think so.
They'd be in great shape, but they're not going to want
Right, right. By the way, I'm going to give you a gym membership
Yeah.
that you can jog in for everything that you do. They're
I
not
love
going
it.
to work with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. They get to the coffee shop. I need a bottle of water. I don't need coffee anymore. I'm tired. I love that.
Here's a bite, a bottle of water.
Yeah, that's great. What's interesting that I know a little bit about with the real estate industry is the competition between realtors and in offices. How do you handle that?
I don't. I block it out. You know, one of the things about our company is we really have a very cohesive office environment. Like, of course, there's been situations where it's competition. And if I feel that it's something that is, it's not vibing with me, it's really making me feel upset, I will find one of the managing partners or one of the managers. I won't try to handle something like that by myself. I've done this for too long. And if I'm upset, then the entire apple cart is going to upturn. This is a small town, believe it or not, even though there's a lot of people I don't know. I'm around a lot of people I do know. I know the players, and I have a sensitivity. I have a workaround. And if there's a situation, like I said, I would call a partner or I would also call a colleague. I had something happen a couple of years ago where I was selling something. This is a perfect answer. And the people came into my open house, they wanted to buy it that day. And I knew that one of the sellers, because I represented the sellers, it was an attorney, it was 3 siblings. And I knew that that person was going to be very difficult to deal with. So I brought a partner in to help me represent the buyer's side while I represented the seller's side. Did I make less? Absolutely. Did it go almost perfectly? Absolutely. We still had to bring a manager in because the guy was going to cause trouble, but I had a partner. And I will do that all the time.
Yeah, money is not important when it comes to your stress, your anxiousness, anxiety, and all that. And it's just not good.
Well, it's also, I'm not representing the transaction, right? If I'm a business person and I have a buyer and seller and somebody is attempting to thwart the situation behind the scenes, then I will absolutely make less every single time to bring peace to the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. My business partner said yesterday, hey, if I got 12 million, I give you 2 and I keep 10, I think everybody's happy. Same thing, you get 20 and they get 30. Yeah, it's a $10,000. It's not an accounting
you got
relationship. Got it done. And you've got happy people buying, happy people selling. That's the bottom line. It's all about the people. So that leads to the question of, you talked about offices. How important, it sounds like it's really important. I'm a realtor. Let's say I'm in California, I moved to Idaho. I need to find a new office, get my license to do all. I've had people do that. So it sounds like I need to find an office that aligns with my purpose. Because if the office didn't, like your office, if I'm not philanthropic and they're saying, hey, you need to be philanthropic, I probably shouldn't be working there, right?
Probably not. I mean, not everybody understands what philanthropic means, and not everybody, there's 550 of us. Not everybody does it. Nobody judges. I mean, in the very beginning, I wasn't involved with Sitar when I first got into the industry. They encourage us to do it, but there's no judgment. You don't feel demoralized or,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really up to you and what you want to do. And, maybe you're 30 years old when you get into the business. And when you turn 45, you're like, boop, I want to get involved in being philanthropic. Hopefully I'm setting an example for other people that are just getting into the business that makes them want to do that. But there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever. We also have different offices in different areas all over DC. So, you may like a manager in Arlington, Virginia, and I may like somebody in the downtown office better. So you go there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of how large our company is now, that you can really find a place for you.
That's important. That be happy, find that place. Never work in a toxic environment for you. It may not be toxic for everybody else, but for you, it's just not going to be a winner for you. You mentioned from wine transition to real estate. And I told you before the show, crazy, because you're selling wines at 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 a bottle. So now you're going, hey, Steve, let me sell your home for 2.5 million. Let's just say big difference in the sales. How have you transitioned with that?
I was 28 years younger. It was a great transition, but what I did to transition financially is I taught wine seminars in law firms. Law firms hired me to come in and teach wine seminars to their associates. It wasn't hard for me. It really wasn't hard because of the people aspect of it. And maybe, which I also told you a little bit ago, when I was in the wine business, there were only 4 or 5 of us women here in Washington, selling wine, DC. And it was an era where like men were selling liquor and wine. It was the 80s, wine was just starting to be a big deal. And so that was really hard. But I've never known what I can't do. I've only known what I can do. And so it was a transition also, because I was taught, but not like somebody didn't take me into a house and say, this is what you do. Like I started and back when I first started in 1998, we could answer phone calls because people still use the phone. We had desk duty. People walked into the office. We did open houses because people came to open houses. So there really was a whole platform for me to build my business on.
That's so cool. We coming to the end here. You're such a blessing. Thank you for having that servant's heart in real estate. It's not easy. I know it's not. And you're rebranding and moving towards that. So hopefully, and I know you'll make some changes in the real estate offices and real estate industry because of that servant's heart, because I think there needs to be an inflection of that, or no, that's the right word, to do that, because I think the more and more people do that, they'll get more sales, and bottom line, more happier buyers and sellers. And that's the bottom line, that the people, the customer client is better.
It's the key to life. The key to life is not that you're doing something just for the money. You're doing it because it's from your servant's heart.
I love it. Let's end with a very fun question. You ready?
Yeah.
You got a reservation at a restaurant, table of 4. You're going to sit, of course, in one of the chairs. Who would you invite in the other 3 chairs, dead or alive? Why would you invite them? And what food would you order?
Oh, wow. All right. First of all, one of my dearest friends owns an Italian restaurant here in the city. It's her 35th anniversary. So it would have to be at her restaurant. And who would I invite? Steve, seriously? I don't know. That's such a great question. I think I would like one of the people to be John Kennedy, as in the president, because of where we are right now in the world. And it wasn't perfect back when he was there, but I would like to hear what he would have to say. I think the second person I would like to be there would be one of the popes, perhaps Pope John Paul, because I would like to talk to him about God and really what the definition is of God. And I think I probably would like you to be at one of the seats and me to be at the fourth, so that we could get an understanding of why we're both here.
Well, you know what? You broke the record. I've done 400 of these. You're the first invite. I usually invite myself. I don't have to do it this time. Thank you so much, Caroll. No, you're a blessing. God bless you. This has been such an incredible show. You've really taken real estate, like I said earlier, and really flipped it upside down to do it, we think, the right way. I don't know everybody's going to agree with us, but that's okay. We think it's the right way. But people listening, they want to reach out to you. How can they find you, connect with you, and support you?
Thank you for asking. I'm easy to find on Facebook and Instagram. And my phone number, my email, that is really connected to my branding. So if you just go to Caroll Dye, and my last name is DEY, and on LinkedIn as well. I'm in all of those different places. And if somebody just said that they heard us here on your show, then I'll get in touch.
Beautiful. I love that. I keep thinking, I don't drink wine, but I keep thinking about wine. I don't know why. You've got that stuck in my head, wine, which is a good thing. Wine's not a bad thing. Audience, we've come to the end, but can you do me a favor and subscribe to this channel? And not for the reasons you think. I like to tell people, when you have that channel subscribed, you go back to Caroll's show. Caroll's. I almost said Carolyn. Caroll's show, because if you're a realtor, I guarantee you probably want to listen to this 2 or 3 times, because you're going to pull tidbits out and then want to probably reach out to her. Also, share it with a family or friend. Somebody may want to be selling or buying a home, looking for a realtor, or you have a friend that's a realtor or a family member. What a great way to connect with Caroll. No cost. She just said, I'll put it out there, reach out to her. Any questions you have And if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, you're looking to buy or sell a home, I'm going to throw it out there. I found your realtor. So reach out to her. Also, to comment on the YouTube channel, give us critique. Let me know how good or bad the show is, because the show is all about you, the audience. The better it is for you, the more excited me and Caroll are going to be, because we've done motivation, inspiration, and education, which is only helping you. And then, of course, me and Caroll, thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. And we'll see all of you in the next episode. Have a great day.